Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. Your host, Ulysses Balanzategui. Today, we're going to talk about our journey with Africompassion and how this journey brings hope to impoverished children in Tanzania. We have with us a number of people that have been involved in being sure that this program continues, and we got Steve Whitehouse with us. Thank you, Steve, for all the accommodations and the preparations on this. He's from Pleasant Grove, Utah. Jerald, I think we lost your camera. But we got Jerald Malamba. He's from Tanzania. Thank you, Jerald, for being with us. And by the way,
You're welcome.
he's 3 a.m. in Tanzania. He want to be sure that he's with us while we're here at 7 p.m. Rosie Gremmert from Cedar City, Utah. And we got Whitney. Thank you, Whitney. You're in Salem. So the way how we're going to go about this presentation is we're going to have Steve, who's going to lead us and is going to present this program today. And he's also going to give us a lot of information that is definitely going to touch our hearts. So in the meantime, I'm going to be off the camera, and everybody else, I'm going to leave Steve.
Wonderful. Thank you for that introduction, Ulysses. I'm really grateful to be here with you tonight and to have a chance to share experiences in this recorded podcast. So grateful for Jerald to join us so early in the morning from Tanzania. We're wanted to talk a little bit about this journey, this idea of a journey with Africompassion, bringing hope to impoverished children in Tanzania. I want to share a lot of information tonight in the few minutes that we have together. And that's a challenging thing, because this journey for me has been so life-changing and so empowering and so amazing to be able to serve and help some truly needy people who I was amazed to encounter. This journey for me began really in a very mundane way, in a sense. But tonight, what we're going to do is share a little bit about how this came to my attention, what things were like there, what Jerald has, how Africompassion came to be, a little bit of Jerald's story, what Africompassion, how things are like in the village of Kogaja, where we have this school, what things were like before the school, what things are like now, and what we hope to achieve in the future, and some stories about individual people and how things have changed for others. So for me, the story is a bit mundane in the normal experience and in how this began. In our lives, we sometimes encounter people and who need help. And when you encounter someone, maybe there's an accident in front of you, or someone who you meet someone who has some really great needs. And this happens sometimes, you observe something, you run into somebody on the street or in your neighbor, or something happens, like an accident, a car accident. And so what's your inclination? You want to help. You look, sometimes you question, can I help, or should I help? Am I in a position to help? So that's kind of what happened to me. For me, this journey kind of began, I forgot how to spell my name, with meeting a friend named April through an experience where we rehomed a dog because we got a second dog. And so we became friends with April Van Tassel in Oregon. And it was really an answer to prayer. But as part of my friendship with April, shortly after I met her, I became aware of someone who had really great needs. Her name was Havina. And April said this lady was from Africa. She worked with a school for impoverished children and orphans. She was impoverished and she had need to have life-saving surgery. Well, I was really kind of shocked and horrified, and by Havina's condition, you can see how terrible she looks and sad she is. But in my heart, I felt like I needed to help April and help Havina. And so my wife and I became involved in helping her to get surgery. And that was a really powerful experience for me. It was a joyful experience, but it led me to meet my friend, Jerald Malamba. And Jerald's with us tonight. And as I started talking with Jerald, my world opened up from, this little town in Utah. All of a sudden, halfway around the world, I'm becoming aware of poverty. I'm becoming aware of this man who is at great sacrifice to himself, trying to help his fellow countrymen. And he really was involved with trying to provide education and water and food for these children. And so one of the things that I'd like to tell you a little bit about Jerald's experience. He's wanted to build a school, and I happen to have experience in education. I was a founder of a school here in Utah, and have been involved in education for almost 20 years now. And so I have a passion for education. So it really touched me and my interest with Jerald wanting to build a school. And I felt like, oh, well, here's a reason why we're connected, because I have background in education. And I'm very interested in helping people to get a good education. So that touched my heart. Let me ask Jerald now a little bit to explain what his experience was with Africompassion and how he became involved, and what happened to him for this to start.
Thank you, Brother Steve, for this wonderful moment. I would like to thank God for giving me this privilege. It's a privilege to me because sometimes when I sit and meditate on what is happening, it amazes me. So for the people who are listening to me for the first time, my name's Jerald Malamba. I'm a Tanzanian, an African. I was born out of wedlock. My mom bore me when she was in school. I never saw my dad. There's a time when I was brought up in an orphanage. I really experienced a lot of bad or unpromising life living in an orphanage. So when I grew up, I was like, I really don't want to see children go through all this I went through. So after I finished school, which was by grace of God, because I could not even afford paying school fee, it was really a bleak life. I remember there's a time when I was teaching at one of the schools around Mwanza. Mwanza is a city where we stay here. I prayed one time and asked God what He really wanted my life to be, because I was not feeling good with working. I kept on thinking of what can I really start to help children who are going under circumstances like the ones I experienced. So, my friends, first, let me thank you all for joining us today. Your presence here means a lot to us as we share the inspiring work of Africompassion in Tanzania. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Africompassion as an organization, which God helped me start as a founder. It's a dedicated organization that is transforming lives, especially the orphans and vulnerable children across Tanzania, especially, and we are focused in Kogaja area, which is at the northern part of Tanzania. As I explore the mission and the vision of Africompassion, there are a lot of impacts we see, and we really thank you for the support that you've been making and still making to see that we help these children who are, most of them are orphans, total orphans. Africompassion mission is to provide education to orphan children and empower communities through sustainable development initiatives. We have health department, we have the educational department, which is now going on. We are building the school, as you know, and we also have the water well. When God gave me the vision, it was a sacrifice because I had to leave everything that I was doing. I remember there is a time that I used to fast 3 days a week just to ask God to show me what He wanted really my life to be by doing this. Africompassion is the 6th organization that I tried to start. I could start and it dies. I start and it dies because I was not having the resources. Having an organization needs money and it needs resources so that you can do the things. So it was a miracle when Havina fell sick, as Steve was already explained. We were trying to search for people to help us take her to the hospital. This is a lady who used to help us when we were teaching kids. She could come and help us do the cleaning and so on. So the lady that Steve has just mentioned, April, was a friend of mine for some good years before I knew Steve. And the way Steve explained is how it happened. It was a miracle for us. So to get directly to the point is, as we talk with you now, over 80 kids are getting education at Africompassion School. The ladies at Kogaja have been supported by Africompassion through our brother Steve. They are now doing farming project. They are getting profit, and the profit they get from farming helps their families buy food and so on. We have a water well, which is now running. The community come and get water from the water well that Africompassion has done. The school is amazing. You can't imagine this school. You see the pictures today. We started it under a tree. The tree, if there is a picture Steve is showing, where 3 people, Steve, I, and Pastor Aaron, the tree behind us is where the school began from. We were sitting there and we could teach that tree. We never knew what was going to happen. Instead, we trusted God that let's start and see, because we believe God is faithful and He sees people's hearts. When you truly mean what you do, He provides. So from that tree you see behind us there, we went to several places because we could not stay there while it was raining. Sometimes when shining, you can't have the kids under that tree there while the rain falls. So we went and asked for some places to have the kids get education. But what really made me, I still say when I remember that, I feel very sad. There is a time when a guy who gave us a building for the kids to study in, I can say chased us from that building. We never knew where to go with the kids. I remember when we woke up in the morning and went there and we found the door is locked. And we stood with kids just closing the door there without knowing what to do. God brought Steve to us and a lot has really happened. Currently, we are having the building, as you can see the pictures that Steve has been showing. We really thank God. I feel very emotional when I talk about what has really happened. When I look back and see where we came from, I'm just a vessel, just a vision bearer. I can't do all this myself. That's why I believe God has seen my heart. That's why He's bringing people, Steve and others. This is not my work. This is God's work. I'm just being used, and God can use anybody He likes to make this work go forward. So I appreciate you and I thank you, brothers. The testimony is long and we have a short time. I can't speak all things that are needed to be heard, but I want to tell you that I'm blessed to be part of this work as a vision bearer and as a team leader. May God bless you, brothers.
Thank you so much, Jerald. I'm so touched by Jerald's sacrifices that he's made and the love he has for people to be able in his country. Tanzania is one of the 30th poorest countries in the world. The average salary for people who work is $180 a month there. And the gross domestic product is $3,000 a year. In the United States, the poverty line is $15,000 a year per person for a single person. And so when we think about poverty, our journey is we want to help impoverish children. We want to help them escape this life cycle of poverty. And so here, when we think of poverty, it's a very different perspective. Here we have clean water to drink. People have bathrooms, they have kitchens, they have access to government help. there are people who definitely are really in hard ways here. A lot of those cases probably tends to have something more to do with dysfunctional families, mental health issues, physical health issues, and there's a reasonable chance that people can get some kind of help. When we talk about this country where we're working, we're talking about no opportunity. There is no safety net. There's just what people are able to do on their own. And there's a life cycle of poverty. You see these pictures of these mud huts where 5, 6, 7 people live on a dirt floor. And it's for us, what we're trying to do is to change that, because with clean water and education, these children will have a hope in the future. And that's really, really our mission and what we're about. So Jerald talked a little bit about this, but I'd like Rosie, who's one of our board members, to share a little bit about the conditions there, where we started as an organization, what we've been able to do, what the situation was like before, and how it is now, and share a little bit of her experience and perspective with us.
Thank you, Steve. I'm happy to share. This picture right here, it just speaks 1,000 words, because you can see how the students are just out there in the air. And I had the opportunity to go and help and serve in a few other developing countries. I haven't been to Africa myself, but I first was pulled into helping with Africompassion as Steve and some other mutual friends shared about the needs that were here at about this time when the lease was lost. And so I had the chance to go and serve in different areas from 2011 until 2019. We had gone each year and gone and done some humanitarian work at different places. And as we fell into a state in our planet where people weren't traveling in the same way, I asked my Heavenly Father, how can I help and serve the way that my heart wants to serve, even if I can't fly to places and physically be helping? And that is when I first learned about Africompassion. And so, we have gone in relatively a short period of time from where they had no lease and no place to meet to now having, Steve will show pictures as we move through here, but having a well and having a building and having uniforms. And it is distinctly different from the public school. The picture you see here right now shows a typical public school, which the children that we serve, they aren't able to attend these schools because they're just outside of the reach of their resources or even being able to get there. And one of the things that just stunned me is when I learned that they needed to have English for an entrance exam into high school, and yet it wasn't something they were being taught as young children. You can see this picture here of Jerald and Steve standing in a public school classroom. And the desks that the children have to sit on are those rocks that are back there in the corner. And having been an educator here in the United States and feeling like I had a lot of children to teach when I had 34 or 35 in a classroom, and then seeing this where they're on rocks and they are just many, sometimes 3 times as many children as that in one room. I just can't imagine, especially being hungry and having to walk back and forth for water and possibly all the way back home to their families for a meal. And then back again to have a little bit of school at the end of the day. Like, how can they progress? How can they get any learning at all? So I know we have a vision for a completely different type of a system where these children will truly be able to break the poverty cycle. They'll be empowered with an education to go out and make a difference. And like Jerald, be able to come back and impact the villages where they're from. Like we're seeing this come around full circle. Steve, was there anything else that you'd wanted me to share about that?
Thank you, Rosie. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that introduction. We have we're making a huge difference between where things have been recently in the village and for these children and others who want to come to our school. Our vision is to develop more of a self-sustaining school once we're able to raise the funds to build it by having students come and who are able to pay tuition so that they can subsidize the operating costs for the impoverished children. We want to build an adult education center and provide clean water in neighboring villages and a medical. We want to build a medical clinic there as well. I want to give some context about where we work. In East Africa, the country of Tanzania, you can see in red here is below Kenya. And the village of Kogaja is probably 30 miles away from Lake Victoria. So it's in the Lake District, and it's very blessed there because they have lots of rain. I first visited in February of 2022 after Jerald said they were chased out of that building and we didn't have any resources and we were trying to figure out what to do. And so as I visited there and learned about the country and the situation as a newcomer to Africa, to an impoverished country, it was a life-changing and eye-opening experience for me. I was fortunate to have several friends accompany me, Reed Anderson from Bountiful and Nginu Burton and Edward Kayunga are other Africans who came as part of our team, and to visit the village and to establish a working relationship with Jerald and the village leaders and to make plans. And as part of that, we learned, we focused in on the need to provide water for the village. And that was a life-changing experience for me when I came face to face. Jerald sent me pictures, but as I came face to face with what dirty water looks like, when people have to drink water that is causing them to be sick. We were really, really blessed to be able to share this and help people understand the opportunity to make a difference. And we did. We had a lot of people step forward to help us. doTERRA, we were able to get a matching fundraiser, and we were able to do this miraculous, life-changing project for the village. You can see in the background the pictures of that pure, clean water coming from a 460-foot deep well. Jerald, I'd like to ask you, tell us a little bit about what this water project has done for the village, and just your feelings about this and the villagers' feelings about us being able, with God's help, to provide this amazing clean water.
Yes, thank you, Steve. I always like using a miracle word because when things happen that you don't understand how they came about, it's a marvelous thing and it's a miracle to me. Before we got this water well here, people used to become sick every now and then, stomach ache, diarrhea, and all those kind of diseases that are water related. But since we got this water well here, those cases are nowhere to be seen. We rarely hear about people suffering from stomach problems because of the water they use. And it is something to thank God for. The water you see coming from those pictures is saltless. It's just like rainwater, very nice. And Steve, thanks to God for this. Ladies can now get water for cooking. We have a government school just close to Africompassion School there. They used to get a lot of problems with kids falling sick, something that as of now is nowhere to be had. we don't use the water well alone as Africompassion School, but it helps also the surrounding communities. The place is surrounded with very, very many people. They come now, and as you can see from pictures, they are very happy. They pray for us. So Steve, thank you, and thank Africompassion and all the people who have made this happen. There is a great and a big change since we got this water well here. Thank you.
It's really hard to describe the emotions of being there and drinking that water compared to the first time I was there. And that's part of what we want to try and do today, is kind of share the impact of this on individual lives. I want to share a few stories about people in need and how you are helping us to help people change their lives in amazing ways. The first one is a story that Jerald has shared with me. This is about a child that was shortly after birth in this village, was dropped into a pit toilet. And you can see the picture there on the left of the child. And Jerald, through April Van Tassel, my friend, was able to get a sponsor to pay for this child's medical care. And so she's been named after her baby, Lucy. You can see Jerald, and you can see the incredible, beautiful child. But you see, this is the type of intervention when we have someone in front of us who has a need, when we step in to make a difference. This is the type of difference Africompassion is making, our efforts are making for these people in need. This is the type of effect that Jerald, through his sacrifice and service, is having. He is focused on helping people. That's his passion. Jerald has become one of my closest friends. We talk all the time, and I'm so grateful for the influence he has on my life. I want to share a story of a young boy that has really touched my life. This is a boy we'll call Brian that I met on the first visit there when I was wide-eyed and jet-lagged and just experiencing this whole, you can see on the left, this young boy has terrible infection in his ears. And we were able to help him, to pray for him, and to get medical care for him. You can see his family, his mother with his siblings. You can see him lying on a mat in a white shirt there next to the little bit of food they have. And finally, you can see him happy. One of the things that we were able to do, I was able to, using my own funds, provide the mother with a microloan, and she was able to start farming and have a 3-acre farm and become self-sufficient, where she was providing food for her family, and she was able to pay her rent and not have to ask anyone for help. And so this, for me, has been this incredible personal experience with poverty, but also with just a little bit of means to make a difference in a very real and connected way. And so another experience we have had here, sorry about this, is a young student that we'll call him Ibrahim, that was just a couple of weeks ago, June 5th, was hit by a motorcycle outside the school while he was walking along the path, and he suffered critical or very severe injuries. And you can see his recovery, and he's now at home. You can see Jerald there visiting him in the hospital. So Jerald, tell us a little bit about Ibrahim and kind of what happened there and what the experience would have been for him if Africompassion and our sponsors, our supporters, had not been there to help this boy who needed about $2,000 worth of medical help.
Yes, Ibrahim, as you said, is one of the students at our school. He was walking along the road. We are having a big road close to the school, and accidentally he got hit by the motorcycle, and all that you see on his faces and the hands. He got his hand broken, and the leg and the head had problem. When I first got the information, I was not close to the village because I stay in the city and the work we do is in the village. I had no money to take him to the hospital, and I prayed and shared with Steve about the boy, and Steve also did what God helped him do. This boy was going to die. If you would have seen him, it wasn't going to be a business as usual. We got the help from the people who donated through Steve, and he was taken to the hospital. By that time, I was in Dar es Salaam, and we could coordinate, talk with the father and the people responsible, and he got treatment. It was a very expensive treatment that they could not do. They don't have a home that they would have sold because they are renting a house back in the village there. So thanks to God for the people who really got touched and helped this boy. I got the information yesterday that he's feeling some pain on the hand. As you see, the hand is wrapped with some whitish things. And the father told me that he thinks by next week he should bring him back to the hospital. We could not allow him. Anyway, the doctors wanted this boy to keep on being in the hospital, but it was going to be very expensive for the family to keep being there. So they decided to clear the bill and get back and have the boy get treatment at home. So the father told me yesterday that they feel like he should be brought back because he feels a lot of pain and he complains a lot about pain. Let's pray about him, and we pray that God will help them come back to Mwanza, because currently I'm in Mwanza, not like before when they were in the hospital and I was not close to them. So thank you so much for those people who really felt like to help this boy. He was going to die. Remember, from where he got the accident to where the hospital is 6 to 8 hours travel by bus, public bus. So it wasn't going to be easy. Even the transportation itself is a problem. They could not manage to bring him here. But through Africompassion, through friends and Steve, we managed to bring him to the hospital. Pray that when he comes back next week, God will help him to fully get healed. That's what I can say about this boy. But it has become a story in the village. People are really wondering how God brought this organization to that community whereby people are really getting support and help like this. Thank you, Steve, and the people who helped this boy. Pray that next week God helps so that he can come back for a checkup.
Thank you so much for that support. I mean, you can imagine there in Africa, if you have emergency medical needs, you're not treated unless you can pay. The hospitals and doctors and clinics cannot afford in the slightest degree to do that, to help. Ulysses, maybe you can share a little bit your thoughts about this story. This is the story of the boy on the beach. You know, there's a lot of people in the world who need help. And so sometimes we may get overwhelmed. Wow, you know, I can't do it. I can't do it all. I can't help everybody. So, you know, what's the point? But there's this beautiful story of a boy trying to save starfish, throwing them back into the ocean where they're washed onto the beach and the tide has gone out. And the man is wondering what the boy is doing. And the boy says, I'm saving them. And he says, there's just one of you. How can you make a difference? And he said, well, I can make a difference for this one. And so just like these three individuals and even the 80 children we're educating, we're making a difference for them. Ulysses, you want to share with us a little bit some of your insights?
Yeah, well, let me just bring back that our conversation of days ago when this incident happened. I mean, we were talking about some of the things, and Jay, you brought the story of this little kid. You know, the impact of somebody's life. You know, when crisis come, something that is unpredictable, is uncertain, but by sharing the story, I mean, actually, it was a time when I was just really struggling because, I was going through a few things in crisis myself. But I could not, I felt I could not turn my back, and whatever whatever I can do to help. I felt immediately, there is no questions, that this is an important life. I mean, there's no doubt that there are millions of people that are struggling right now, and we cannot help everybody, but because we cannot reach everybody. Nevertheless, when something is in front of us, and this is something you mentioned, okay, we can have empathy immediately. I mean, we all have the capacity to feel the pain. To me, even though I didn't even know the name of the kid, you mentioned the incident, I could feel like if it was me, okay, or one of my child, or a neighbor, or somebody that I probably was in front of it. That it's important to move, with this attitude of relieving the pain of somebody else. And there is a lot of benefit, because compassion, it gives us purpose, but also compassion is contagious. When you first told me about this Africompassion program, and I know you, Steve, for 20 years, almost 20 years. But when you first told me, and the way how you presented, I could feel that you weren't just talking, you already have walked a few steps ahead to serve. I feel contagious. No. But compassion also, it gave us a good mental and physical health. No? So we all have the capacity to feel and care for others' pain. And when we receive care from another, this helps too. So, I mean, I cannot imagine, the parents of this boy, the neighbors, the friends, all the little kids that love and enjoy this little kid. The pain that is involved with this kind of experience. So my belief firmly is, that this project is not just a project to show, anything to anybody in the world, but it makes a difference. Having a school that's already, running, and having wonderful people like Jerald engaged in something of this magnitude, it just continue helping me in my times of trials and challenges. I can just think, how much of humanity is in all of us. So, in turning our heart, to these marvelous people, and I can just bring something real quick. I'm from Ecuador originally, and there was a time in our life where basically we didn't have a potable water, and I had to walk, close to a mile. I was probably a boy at 10 years old, from 10 to about, 15. I walked almost a mile with a stick across my shoulder, 2 buckets of water that I had to haul from the place where this, tanker water, will deposit it in this particular small tank that was ours. And I did the walking, back and forth until the tanks in our home were filled. And it was hot and it was humid, okay? But the joy to have water that was clean, even though we didn't have potable water, okay, we had to carry. When you share the story about the people in Tanzania, it just brought memories. The wonderful that there are so many people that make possible our giving time by the skills and everything else that was done in the city where I live in Guayaquil, Ecuador, to make this potable water possible in my home. I remember the first day, okay, that the water was from the faucet, and I could take a shower. And it was and before I had to, we had 2 tanks of water, one to do where we have our showers, and you have to be limited in the amount of water you take in a small bucket to have you give your own bath. But when the water comes, from a faucet, it is a miracle.
It's true. When I go to the village there, I'm taking a shower with a bucket of water and a washcloth, or a little pitcher, and I'm dumping it on myself, and I'm drinking. out of a bottle. And so there's no faucets. And so I appreciate you sharing that, because it's true. That's their experience. They are carrying, now they can carry clean water, but they have to carry it. And so I'd like to kind of now shift to kind of a little bit more detail about what we're doing in depth to make a difference. Rosie talked a little bit about, showed pictures of the local schools. Now, I was able to go again in March of this year. That's my third trip in 2 years. Each has been an average of 19 days. And so for me, my heart is just filled with a desire to help Jerald, to help this. You can see here the background. We've been able to provide uniforms. I brought sewing machines with me on 2 trips, and they've used those sewing machines to make these uniforms. You saw the pictures of the clothing those other children were wearing. These children love these uniforms. They look sharp. They look smart. They make them feel good about themselves. I've brought curriculum material from the United States. We've been able to use the funds we've raised to buy things. You can see the background of the school and what that's like. Now we are on phase 2. We've completed the first 3 classrooms. We have to, by the government rules, we have to finish this last half of the building in order to get our official registration. And we have just enough money almost to do that. We actually need about another $2,500 to finish that. We're hoping to raise that soon. But once we have basically the money to buy the doors, we will be able to finish our registration. And then we will have we'll have to finish the classrooms. But so our goals for this year are to be able to have 3 more classrooms finished so we can add grades 2, 3, and 4. We're organizing a humanitarian expedition for next summer to the village. It's about 12 days. We'll take maybe up to 20 people. We're trying to increase our monthly supporters. We have, basically 14, 15 people who give us some money every month, an average of $60, which allows us to pay the teachers, to buy food for the children, to pay for books and uniforms. We want to be able to hire 2 more teachers so we can add more grades this year. And I'd like to ask Rosie to talk a little bit about the people who helped us, how she's been involved. We've been able to do fundraisers through some schools, and she's just Rosie has been a huge part of us being able to raise the money for the school and the construction. And we're just amazed to think that I was there in February of 2022. That's a little over 2 years ago. And there was just dirt on the ground and dirty water. And Rosie's been a key part to us being able to get that water project, first half of a school. And it's so amazing that you can't imagine. And we'll have Jerald come back and tell us a little bit of the village reaction. Rosie, please.
Thank you, Steve. And I feel so humbled, and I want to make sure that what comes through is truly that there have been miracles. Like, we have witnessed miracles, so much so that as a board, we've started inviting others, come be a part of the miracles. Like, if you want to see more miracles, come help us with Africompassion, and also expect miracles. We've just kind of adopted both of those things as like bylines for what we do. And we've been very blessed by some generous donors and many, many people who have given what they can. We had we had 3 different matching funds grants through doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation. Several of these schools here you can see have been involved: Timpanogos Academy, American Heritage School, Mazer Preparatory Academy. We did a Costa Vida night. Costa Cares is their arm of giving. We've got corporate sponsorship. We have things set up through employee match with Benevity. It's been a team and a group effort. Like, every single person on the board brings amazing skills help this all move forward. And we just marvel. I remember Steve sharing, and maybe Jerald can talk about this a little bit more, but it just touched my heart to hear that as villagers would walk by and we were building the well, something along the lines of that they would say, God has remembered us. And I think that that's like one of the keys is we might have big dreams to do big things or feel inspired by big things that we hear about that other people do. And truly what that boy could do in the story was to pick up one starfish and throw it back. And we do what we can as we're on that path to our big dreams. And so I couldn't get on a plane and go and help in Africa at the time I started being involved, but I could look for other people I was connected to who might want to be a part of this vision too. And that is what every single person who listens to this can do. Like perhaps you can do $30 or $60 a month. Perhaps you can share it with other friends. Maybe you know other people who also have it in their heart to help in Africa. Maybe you want to help us with our next fundraiser. You can reach out and you can help us with that. And we're just inviting people, just come be a part of the miracles. It really is. It's phenomenal. It's humbling. Oh, you're muted again, Steve.
Thank you so much, Rosie. It truly is. And the most amazing thing is you see the results, right? I had a friend who, Frank Anderson at Timpanogos Academy, who was involved in our very first fundraiser that we did through Timpanogos Academy. And they've helped us do 2 fundraisers now. And he gave us some money and through the fundraiser. And then about 8 months later, we produced a video of the well after we finished the well, and really just 8 months later. And he said, I can't believe, he asked me to take me to lunch. He said, Steve, I can't believe what my donation has done. I see the water, the clean water, just 8 months later. And that's the incredible thing. We see the pictures of the little boy, Ibrahim, who was injured, and we see him getting treatment. We know exactly where this money is going. When you help us, the money is going directly to help people in need. It's not going through some corporation where a lot of it is siphoned off for their administrative costs. It just goes straight to those in need. And we're also demonstrating our ability to execute, our ability to get things done. Getting this building done, getting these things done is a result of the experience our team has. It's a result of Jerald's his ability as a leader. We're trying to increase the number of sponsors we have. That's really important because it gives us some money each month that we can pay for salaries, books and supplies, uniforms, dental supplies. We've implemented a dental program where the children have toothbrushes, toothpaste, fluoride rinse. They're being taught about dental health. They're brushing their teeth at school twice a day. We're providing mosquito nets, and we're providing a small amount of food. We don't have enough money to do that fully yet, but we are growing some food. We're hoping we really, 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 really could use some help in this area. So we have a capital campaign. We need to raise another $50,000 to completely finish the building, but we have about $2,400 we need to finish it to the point where we can finish our government registration, which is so important because once that's done, then we don't have any issues. So additionally, in June of this coming year, we're going to be doing an expedition safari there to serve the children and villagers. We have a list of things we want to accomplish. We're going to be bringing hygiene kits, reusable hygiene kits for a local high school for the young women there. We hope to bring 300 kits where we'll provide enough for the young women so they don't have to stay at home 7 days a month during their menstrual cycle and miss school. That's a problem there. So we have information posted on our website about this trip, about everything we're doing, and we're just so excited and grateful for the support and that people are helping us with. Jerald, would you like to share some closing thoughts or remarks with us as we finish our discussion together tonight?
In summary, the introduction of water well in our community has really transformed lives. As we've discussed, and it has helped to enhance education and empowering women, and it has really boosted the economy because, like there is a story, Steve, that there are ladies who have begun planting vegetables. They get water from the water well that we have at school. That is really going to change their lives because they are going to get food from the vegetables and they're going to sell and get money to help their families. I personally, as the team leader, it is something that sometimes when I sit down and meditate on, it makes me want to work very hard and more and more. I remember when I prayed first, God to help me in this work, I told God that use me the way you want. I'm just a vessel. So having us move from sitting on a floor, as you see, you saw from the pictures, and now the kids are having tables and the water well and all these things going on, I feel so much humble. And I want to assure you, the Africompassion US team, that I will faithfully work to make sure that this vision becomes to its fulfillment. I know I'm a human being. I need to help the family, and I also need to work at Africompassion, but I've sold my life and I'm totally and fully ready. Wherever I do something which is not right, you are my spiritual fathers. You are my spiritual mothers. Please, I need your correction when something doesn't go good so that we can do things to the maximum, to the point that is needed. My wife, thanks to her for having been close to me all the time. When I move around up and down, she takes care of the family. Thanks God to her. Steve knows her. She's working very hard, and she has really been helpful to help us make these things move forward. So I really applaud the ladies. Steve, Rosie has really been helpful to this ministry. I've never seen her physically apart from through the technology and through communication. But I pray that next year she will come. I pray that God is going to provide so that she also accompany you coming next year. What we are doing now, we as the people who are involved might not be seeing it, but it is amazing and people are really wondering what is happening. The government leaders have been coming there every now and then. The DC is the political leader of a district. They are so much happy. I'm glad that Steve had met them and he knows them. We want to make sure that these kids are there. I really don't want to see a child going through the life that I went through. It was not good for me. It takes a long time, all that, to go away from my heart, but I'm really glad that I can see other kids are now getting help from what God has put in my heart. Steve, Rosie, and all the team, we are doing the right thing, and God is going to bless us. As believers, let us move forward. Everything has got a reason. I've been telling Steve, Steve, I've really been working hard. Sometimes he feels tired, and I keep on telling him, Steve, if you feel tired, we are going to fall down. So you have to move even if you're tired.
Thank you so much, Jerald.
I know. Yes, I know organizations around here that has been there for more than 10 years and they do nothing. We call them pocket organizations. I don't know whether you understand that. But with the kind of faithfulness that we have Africompassion to show, Steve and the other team, Rosie, I'm here to serve and I'm ready to serve and I will never get tired. Just think of this. People are sleeping around now and I'm awake because I know this is what God wants me to do. So I thank you all, my brothers. I welcome you to Tanzania. By the way, Steve, when you come them after mission, we want to take them to Serengeti to see how Tanzania looks like.
Thank you so much, Jerald. Thank you. And thank you, Rosie and Ulysses. Thank you so much for joining our discussion. So, Whitney? Whitney, if you wouldn't mind, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share with us tonight as you've listened to this discussion? how it makes you feel about what you've learned and what we're doing.
I just love the story so much of the starfish and helping one person at a time. I just think it just shows how important it is that we all work together so that we can help more than one and help everybody in that community all together. And it was so nice to meet everybody and get to know you all a little bit better.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Missy's, do you have any parting comments that you'd like to share tonight as we close?
Yeah, I think this has been very inspiring. I already been a little close to what you're doing, but I just want to tell everybody who's listening. Compassion is critical for life. Somebody says it's like water. It can flow over hard rocks and into very tight places and soften over time anything that it touch. And just like water can create, things like the Great Canyon, compassion over time will lead us to powerful changes inside ourselves. And it will help in our relationship. So if we want to survive and thrive as human, we really need to be involved in anything. This project, it is so important for the people there. You hear Jerald and you hear other people and even Steve witnessing the changes in the heart and the feelings of gratitude. We are connected. We've been born to, and we have the capacity to feel and care for other people's pain. And when we receive care from another, it helps us to regulate the stress. We have this fundamental human need to join with others and a need to care for ourselves too. So I invite everybody that's listening, join us. Okay? Join us to do, it will make difference for just this one person, this group of persons. So I just want to say, like everybody else here, I raise my hand and I want to continue doing whatever I can to be sure that there is one little kid that receive education, receive other things that are basic. So those are the final remarks. I love you, Steve, Rosie. What a pleasure to meet you, and Jerald. We already had talked, and thank you, Whitney, for being with us. Please don't sit there and don't do anything. If you can open your checkbook and help, this is not an organization where people are getting money. Everything goes to help these wonderful children and these wonderful people there. So I want to commit myself, and I'm going to, just go ahead and do that. I want to commit to do this every month and help. It will make a difference. And I think you don't have to wait, whoever is listening, for a better time in your life. Because, a better time, it may be now. And even if you are struggling through life, a very little sacrifice, it goes a long way in Tanzania. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody.